Good morning, everyone. Quick tip today about how you can basically stop a child's tantrum pretty much in its tracks. And so by this by tantrum, I mean a child who's emotionally upset, aren't they? It might be that you've told them to do something they don't want to do. It might be that they're upset about something. It might be that you said no to them doing something or having something that they wanted. Tantrum can mean many different things, but basically it means that they're upset about something, doesn't it? So the first thing you need to do really is think about what's going on, okay? Why do we have tantrums? We have tantrums because we're upset about something. We have tantrums because we don't get to do what we want, which we all want to do what we want, don't we? Like, that's just natural. We have tantrums because we perhaps feel like we're not being listened to or heard. So stop for a minute. So the first thing you need to do is stop for a minute, put yourself in that spot and think about, okay, what's going on for them right now? What are they feeling right now? And remind yourself that a tantrum is just an expression of feeling upset about something. And it's okay to express ourselves. We have to be able to express ourselves. Next thing you need to do is put yourself into a loving state. So after you think about why they're doing that, why they're behaving that way, put yourself into a really loving state. And remember that, okay, we all get upset about things. We as adults still throw tantrums. We still get upset about things. We don't do it in the typical way of a child. And by child, I mean anyone from small age to even 16, you know, like maybe even older. I'm only up to 16 with my kids yet. So first of all, do that. Put yourself in a loving state and give them a hug. I guarantee you it works all the time. There might be a bit of resistance from them at first, because especially if they're a bit moody. So a couple of mine, being teenagers, get a bit moody where they don't want to have a hug or anything like that. And so they kind of resist for a moment, but it doesn't take long for them to truly just melt into my body. They just melt into my body and the tantrum is over and they come out of it in a more peaceful state. But the most important thing is you have to go into it in a loving state, which can be really hard because sometimes they're being little shits, okay? I'm fully aware that sometimes when your child is throwing a tantrum, they're being a little brat and you might be really cranky with them because they, from your perspective, in your opinion, they shouldn't be behaving that way. And that's not wrong, but they have to be able to express themselves. And it's really hard when you're cranky with them to put yourself in a loving state, but I guarantee that if you can do that, then they will melt into you and the tantrum will pass and it will be over. And just on that note, like on hugging, you know, when kids are little, it's really easy to hug them. You know, they're little and they're cute and you snuggle with them all the time and you snuggle on the lounge reading books, you play with their hair and you touch them all the time, okay? As they get bigger, it's really important to keep doing that, okay? You have to keep hugging your kids. If you haven't kept hugging your kids, if your kids are already big, you can go back to doing that, okay? Like, it doesn't take much. It will take a little bit of work because it might feel a bit weird for them at first, especially boys, okay? Boys get, boys get even more like, you know, don't touch me and stuff like that. That's just general in nature for them. But it's really important to just keep hugging them. I know that my eldest son, who's 15, he's not an affectionate boy. His love language for affection, he's got the lowest score in affection. So he and I, we wrestle all the time, and that's how he gets his affection. He will still hug me if I say, hey, come and give me a hug, you know, but that's not his choice of doing it. That's not his way of doing it. So I've come to find the way that he will respond to that. My girls are very snuggly girls. They've always been very snuggly girls, but I'm not naturally a snuggly person. So if I just remind them and say, if they're a bit moody, I can just say, hey, you know, sometimes when I'm a bit moody, I just need a hug. Do you want a hug? Sometimes if they're sad about something that has nothing to do with you, sometimes you don't need to say anything and just hug them. My oldest girl, who's 16, life can be very dramatic. When something goes wrong, it can be the end of the world, you know. if she's upset, I just go and sit or lay beside her and I snuggle into her, and she just melts in my body, and she just comes out of it feeling more optimistic. And you know, these are just the most treasured moments, and I believe that's what we're about as parents, that it's our job to show them love and to teach them love even when they don't necessarily deserve it. But that's my tip for you, and I went a little bit longer than I meant to, and hopefully you get something out of that, because this I find works really, really well for me, and it makes our relationship so much closer, which is the ultimate goal. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.